Hi, everybody. So my name is Pasha Nahas, and I'm a product manager on the AdMob team here at Google. And today, Andrew, Ram, Justin, and I are going to talk to you about how you can create a great user experience using native and rewarded ads in your app. But before we get started, it's worth mentioning that all of the ad formats that we're talking about today are available on the AdMob platform. AdMob is the world's leading mobile monetization platform powered by Google, and every month, over 1 million apps use AdMob to monetize their business. Native and rewarded ads, which we're talking about today, are just the latest additions to the AdMob platform. Before we dive deep into native and rewarded ads, it's worth taking a look at the evolution of ad formats in apps over the last several years. First, banners emerged as the primary way to monetize your app. You'd place a 320 by 50 pixel ad at the bottom of your screen, and you'd probably leave it there at all times. And if a user was interested, they would tap on the ad to learn more. A few years later, interstitials came on the scene. Interstitials would take up the full screen real estate, so they provided a richer landscape for advertisers to deliver their message. And in addition, they provided publishers with increased ad clicks and ad revenue. The other nice thing about interstitials was you could place them in natural pause points in your app, for example, in between the levels of a game, so you didn't have to keep an ad on screen at all times. Today, the latest evolution of ad formats and apps really revolves around native and rewarded ads. So I'm going to talk some more about native, and then Justin's going to talk about rewarded. You might be asking, what exactly does native mean? It seems like native is the hottest buzzword in the advertising industry, but everyone has their own definition of what makes an ad actually native. For us at Google, it means that the publisher controls the look and feel of the ad and styles it in such a way that it matches the rest of their content. Let's take a look at a real app that's using AdMob for their native ads to better illustrate what this means. So this is the Simple Radio app by Streama, and it's actually built by our friends Franco and Patricio, who are in the audience today. And this app, the Simple Radio app, offers users a feed of radio stations that they can choose to listen to. And the first element in the feed is a native ad. And the native ad uses the same fonts, colors, and styles as the other elements in the feed, so it really fits in and feels natural in the context of the app. Now, why is this valuable? Why would you actually want this? Well, we think there's three main reasons why native ads are valuable. First, it's better for users. Instead of showing a one-size-fits-all banner that might clash with your visual design, you can show a native ad that fits in and won't be a jarring experience for users. Second, we found that native ads perform better for advertisers. In our beta version of native, we saw that advertisers saw a 16% increase in lifetime value from the users that they acquired using native ads versus the users they got from traditional ad formats. Similarly, publishers, or app developers, saw an increase in performance as well. Again, in our beta, we saw that publishers got 3 times higher CPMs, or revenue per 1,000 impressions, on their native ads versus the non-native ads in the same apps. That's pretty significant. So now let's take a look at one particular app that we think really exemplifies all these different ways that native ads are valuable. This is the Happy Fish app. It's a game by Happy Elements, and it's a game that takes place in an aquarium, where you interact with different fish and different sea creatures. And in particular, if you interact with this sea creature, whose name is Yellow Apple, he tells you that he's found a message in a bottle, and he asks if you want to see what's inside. And if you say yes, he opens the message to reveal an ad. And this is an ad that's promoting another app. And I really like this example for a few reasons. From a user perspective, this is awesome because your interaction with the ad is the same as the types of interactions you have with other elements in the game, and it feels really natural. From an advertiser perspective, this is great because anyone who interacts with your ad is really engaged and interested in the content. And from a publisher perspective, this was awesome because the publisher who used this particular game saw a 6x increase in their revenue per impression, which is pretty big. So hopefully at this point, you're pretty convinced that native ads are a great value proposition, and you're just wondering, how can I get native ads in my app today? Well, up until recently, you had to do something like what you see on screen, where we'd send you a bundle of assets like a title, description, and some images, and then you'd have to dedicate engineering time to write the iOS or Android code to render these elements and put them in your app. And then if you wanted to make any changes to the look and feel of your ad, you'd have to push out a new release of your app. Frankly, that seems overly complicated and too hard, and there has to be a better way. So today, we're thrilled to announce and introduce Native Ads Express. Native Ads Express is a really simple and easy way to create native ads on AdMob. You just follow a few easy steps and you'll have native ads in no time. First, you pick an ad size. Next, you choose a particular ad template from a variety of different choices. And then you customize your ad using CSS. And here, you can basically make the ad look exactly as you want it, whatever your look and feel that you're looking for. And you can also pick what type of ads you want to show. For example, you can choose to show app install ads, which promote other apps. You can show content ads, which promote websites, or you can show video ads. And you can mix and match these different ad formats as you see fit. And once you're done doing that, you just add a few lines of code in your app, no more than you would for a banner, and voila, you have native ads. And we're really thrilled to announce that this Native Ads Express is available to all app developers on admob.com starting today. So please go check it out. And to prove to you just how easy it is to use these native ads, Andrew's going to give you a live demo.
Nice job. Thanks. All right, hi everybody. I'm Andrew Brogdon. I'm a developer programs engineer working with the Mobile Ads SDK team, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to code up an implementation of Native Ads Express. Full disclosure, I rewrote and re-recorded everything you're about to see at like 3 a.m. this morning. So there might be some surprises in here for all of us, really. We're going on an adventure. That's the point I'm trying to get across. And here's the adventure we're going to do. So there's 3 steps to getting a Native Ads Express implementation going in your app. First thing you want to do, you want to make a new ad unit ID with a CSS template. You do that at apps.admob.com. Once you've done that, you go into your app, you add a Native Express ad view to your layout, and then you use that to load an ad. So let's take a look at step 1. This is making an ad unit with the CSS. When you go to apps.admob.com, you'll see this. This is step 1 to making an ad unit. You pick a size for your template. We have 3 sizes, small, medium, and large, and they're general sizes. They all have a range of heights and widths that work with them. So you pick one of these. Then you pick a particular template. We have a whole bunch for each one. You can pick one of these. It starts you off on your ad. It gets the basic elements in there, right? And then you get to the CSS editor. All right, and the CSS editor, like my deep fat fryer at home, is where the magic happens. Okay, this is where you can make the ad presentation yours. You can customize fonts, colors, positioning, things like that, sizes. So imagine I don't like the size of the font here for the link on my ad. I can come in and I can put a font weight on it, a bold, and you'll see I get a live preview right there on the right, so I can see my ad as I'm editing it. And at the end of this process, you get an ad unit ID that you can take into the next steps of the process. And I'm going to switch the video right here. Thank you. So now I'm in Android Studio. I'm going to do an Android implementation. And I have a very simple app here, as you can see. Just some blues and some greens, because I'm a winter. That's my color scheme. And I just want a Native Express ad on the middle there. So the first thing I do is go into my layout. And there's my layout file. If you're an Android developer, you're very familiar with these. These define what your user interface looks like. And I'm going to add a new tag for a Native Express ad view. There we go. And it's got a layout, height, and width of wrap content, so it'll flex with the content of the ad and fit my layout. Now I'm going to add an attribute for an ID. This is so I can go find it in my activity later. I'm just going to call it ad view here. There we go. And now I want the ad to be centered, so I'm just going to put some layout gravity. I'm using a linear layout here, so I'm just going to put center horizontal in for my layout gravity. And now there are 2 ads attributes that I'm going to add. First is an ad size. And if you're familiar with banners, one of the first things you're going to notice here is that I get to put in a specific height and width that I want. With Native Ads Express, you are not required to use predefined sizes. You can specify the height and width that work for your design and your layout. If I wanted 350 by 200, I can do that. If I want 497 by 152, I can do that. And the last thing I need is that ad unit ID from before. So this is the ad unit ID that I made at apps.admob.com with the CSS template associated with it. And that's it. So 1 tag for my layout, and that gets my native ad where I want it. All right, so let's go into the activity now and see if we can load an ad. All right, so here's my activity. And I'm going to add 2 lines here to, and the first one is to, there we go. I'm going to go find my native Express ad view using find view by ID. This is, again, a very common thing. I'm going to use the ID value that I gave it before. And now I have a reference to that ad view. I can make one call to load an ad. Ooh. And I'm already running it. That's how quick native ads works. And so you can see I have 2 lines of Java, 1 layout tag, and I get a native ad that looks this good. So 1 plus 2 equals this. That's how easy it is. Thank you. Thank you. I wrote none of the stuff that makes this possible. But that took like 2.5 minutes. Who wants to see some mad science? We got a little time here. OK, a few people in the back. Cool. So the first thing I want you to remember is how easy it is, how little code on the mobile side it takes to get up and running with this. The other thing I'd like you to remember is that those CSS templates that you saw me make, you can update those without redeploying your app. Those are on the server. You can change those pretty much whenever you want, and 20 minutes later, you'll have a new ad presentation in your app live. So let's see what we can do with that. Could I A/B test that way? Could I roll my own experimental sort of A/B testing, maybe? Let's try it. So there's 4 steps I'm going to do here. I'm going to make a new ad unit that's the same size and same template, but with slightly different styling. I'm going to tweak the CSS to make the button a different color. I'm going to modify my app to show that ad unit half the time. So I'll show one of the 2, half the time each. Then I'll check my reporting. And then afterwards, I'll update the losing template to match the winner. All right? So let's see how this works. I'm going to go make a new ad unit. I'm back in apps.admob.com. And I'm going to go pick the same size that I was using before. And I'm going to use even the same template. I'm just going to make a small change. There we go. And I'm going to go over to the CSS. And I'm going to mess with the button. So I got the sea green install button. You can see with the call to action on it. Let's change that. Maybe a nice salmon. You know, summer's coming. And I'm going to bold up the font. I'm going to put a font weight on the install there, the call to action itself. So I've got that changed. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to hit the validate style button. This is at the bottom of the editor. It lets us know and lets you guys know that your CSS is where it needs to be. And with that, I'm going to give it a very memorable name. I'm going to call it IO alternate. And I'm going to save it. So now I have 2 ad units to play with, one of which has that original button, and one of which has that pink button, and we'll see which one does better. So I'm going to go back into Android Studio now, and I'm going to make it so my app shows this new ad unit half the time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and make a copy of my layout. I'm going to make it so I have 2. I have a main one and an alternate. I'm just going to do a straight up copy and paste here. There we go. And I'm going to mark it up. I'm going to change it from hello world to hello alternate world, just so you can see that we're using that different layout. Then I'm going to go down to the bottom, and I'm going to swap out the ad units. There we go. So now I have 2 layouts, one using my original ad unit, one using my second ad unit. All right? Now let's go put these to work in the activity. So I'm going to go in here, and my set content view is using the same layout every time. So let's change that. And I'm going to get a random Boolean. And if it's true, I'll show one. And if it's false, I'll show the other. And I admit, before we get into like random number generators, this is not the most scientific way to do this. But for the purposes of an example, it works out great. So half the time I'm going to show one layout. Half the time I'm going to show another. Let's run this and see what happens. So I'm going to run it. And so there's my original ad. That's the one layout. Let's run it again. See what we have. And there's my pink button. So half the time I'm getting one, half the time I'm getting another. Right? So that's 1 and 2. Now, we put this out in the world. We let it go out a few weeks. We give it a chance. And then we check the reports. And for me, this is what checking the reports looks like. Incidentally, I'll be appearing in Home Alone 5, coming to a theater near you this holiday season. So we check the reports. We find one of them is outperforming the other. And so we update the losing template to match the winning template. And now we have, if we want it, 100% of our traffic using a template that we've verified performs better. Right? And just to make a little bit of a point on it, you can do all kinds of stuff. I'm not a hardcore CSS guy, but you can do all kinds of fun stuff in here. You can mess with fonts. You can mess with font sizes. You can mess with button colors, background colors. If you want a day-glow yellow ad for some reason, because that's your thing, you can totally do it. And now I'm going to switch you back. And that's Native Ads Express. All right. Thank you. All right, and so that's one of the two rich formats that we're talking about today. The other is rewarded video mediation. And we have the very talented Justin McKay who's going to talk to you about that. And away we go. That's yours.
Nice. Good job, man.
Also a product manager at AdMob. Games today are amazing, incredibly rich, immersive experiences. I actually just came back from a trip to Asia where tapping games are all the rage. So basically you tapped frantically on a phone to bake bread, to raise a plant, to advance a character in some way. Basically it's a repetitive strain injury waiting to happen. And as you can see, I've been playing those games with my feet. I digress. But as games have evolved, so have monetization options. Rewarded ads have been one of the biggest asks from our developer friends for a while. But if you're not familiar, here's a quick recap. I'm playing a game and I die. I'm presented with a choice. I can wait for 10 minutes, or I can spend my hard-earned coins, recommend the game to a friend, or watch a video and come straight back to life. When done well, rewarded ads add value for all parties. They are opt-in integrated experiences. A quick recap on mediation. So mediation allows you to call multiple networks from a single platform. This helps ensure there is always an ad to show in your application, and that ad is helping you make the most money. At AdMob, we want to build a platform to support all of your monetization needs. Rewarded has been a gap, and I'm pleased to announce that we have closed that gap. Rewarded mediation is now available in AdMob. These 7 great rewarded networks have now been added to the over 40 networks we already include in regular mediation. We want to make it simple for you to experiment with rewarded ads. We want you to be able to try different networks in different orders with different reward settings. As such, reward and waterfall settings are stored at the ad unit level. We store this information server side, so you don't need to change your code in order to experiment with new configurations. And we give you tools to maximize performance. With our ad network optimization product, we automate the process of fetching the ad from the highest paying network. And optionally, you can use frequency capping to preserve the user experience so they don't get bombarded with ads constantly. So a little more on ad network optimization. Mediation on its own isn't quite enough. CPMs across networks fluctuate throughout the day many times. Managing that complexity across multiple networks manually is really difficult and is frankly like spinning plates. When you enable ad network optimization, AdMob will automatically fetch the ad from the highest paying network and return that into your application. This helps ensure you maintain a high level of revenue. So 6 of the 7 networks are fully supported with country-level granularity. And that country-level granularity is actually very important. Just taking a global average for a CPM is not enough because the variance across countries could be significant. You need that level of control, and we give you that control. So setup is really straightforward. On this screen, you can specify your reward settings. You can choose to preserve values you've set with third-party networks, or you can override them with values we store on Google servers. And you can set your frequency cap to the day, hour, or minute. And of course, measurement is critical. So you'll be able to see your rewarded queries, starts, and completes in your mediation reports. So I'm really pleased to say that we've worked with a lot of publishers, very large and very small, since we launched this at GDC 2 months ago, and adoption has been really fantastic. And I look forward to working with as many of you as possible as we grow the product going forward. And I'm going to hand over to Ram, who's going to show us how simple it is to get up and running with rewarded mediation in Unity. Ram.
Thanks, Justin. So my name's Ram, and I'm a developer programs engineer on the mobile ads team. And today, I'll be continuing our talk on rewarded video mediation. So rewarded video ads, naturally a great fit for mobile games. And if you're a mobile game developer, chances are you're using some kind of game engine for your mobile app development. Unity being one of the most popular options out there. So just a quick show of hands, how many of you guys here are Unity developers or have used the Unity platform before. At least a few of you guys. So just to be clear, rewarded video mediation is supported for standard implementations on both Android and iOS, by the Google Mobile Ads SDK on both respective platforms. But for the purpose of this talk, I will be focusing on our Unity support. So our Google Mobile Ads Unity plugin, completely open source. If you guys want to take a closer look at its inner workings, just hop on over to our public repo and you can. If you'd like to take more of a direct involvement approach, we do accept pull requests. If you'd like to see things like API changes or you'd like to make feature requests, our GitHub issue tracker is the best place for that. Because it is completely open source, you are free to fork the plugin as well if you have any kind of specific implementation requirements. Now, one of the big mantras of Unity has always been build once, deploy everywhere. And our plugin stays true to this. We offer a single C# interface for you to request and display ads on both Android and iOS without ever having to write any Objective-C or Android Java code. And finally, one of Unity's calls to fame has always been its ease of use. You could rapidly prototype and easily deploy great-looking applications with minimal time invested and effort. Our plugin also tries to hold true to this theme by requiring minimal code and effort for you to integrate ads into your existing applications. And just to drive that point home, I'm going to quickly demo how easy it is to integrate rewarded video mediation into an existing Unity application. Now, Andrew here was able to get Native Express up and running in 2 lines of code, an impressive feat, and not something I'm going to be able to match here. But in my defense, rewarded video ads are videos, they move, they're cooler. I only kid. So let's take a look at our integration. So this is the app we'll be integrating our ads into. It's called the Rollerball demo application. It's available as part of Unity's intro tutorials. The premise of the game, pretty straightforward. You have a ball, rolls across the plane, you pick up game objects, and in the lower right of your screen, you do have a score that's reflected. Once the game's over, pop-up dialog comes up, and you're given the option to play again. So let's integrate ads into here. To start, we'll want to import the Google Mobile Ads Unity package. This will give us everything we need to get up and running with ads. And once we've imported this package, we could dig into some code. Let's hop on over to the script attached to our game ball. And we'll declare the Google Mobile Ads API namespace we'll be using. Once we've done that, we need a reference to our rewarded video object. Because our rewarded video object is a singleton, it has a consistent state across all scripts in your Unity application. That does mean you could request ads from one script and display them at another. This is a win for you because you're not forced to re-request ads as your user moves throughout different parts of your game. Now, it wouldn't be rewarded video without the reward, so you'll need to know when to reward the user. We do this by hooking into the onAdRewarded event. So we'll write a quick event handler that hooks into this event. It will have a reward argument, which provides us information on both the reward type and the reward amount. We'll take this reward amount and add it to our existing coin count. So once our user watches our video, their coin count will increase. So let's move on over to implementing our actual ad request. For an ad request, you will need an ad unit ID. Those of you guys who are already using AdMob or DFP are already familiar with ad unit IDs. They define a unique ad placement within your application. These ad unit IDs are platform specific. So here we're using platform directives to choose the appropriate ad unit ID depending on whether we're deploying to Android or iOS. We'll also be using an ad request object. We use this to pass up some targeting information. For the purposes of this demo, I'll be using a plain Jane ad request object and our ad unit ID passed to our load ad method. So by virtue of being videos, rewarded videos are larger and require more time to download than ad formats such as banners or interstitials. So it's always best practice to download or to make these requests as early as possible, ideally at app launch. In our case, we will be adding our ad requests to our reset game method. This means every time we start a new game, at the beginning of the game, we'll request a reward-based video ad. Now that we've requested a reward-based video ad, we also need to show it. As Justin mentioned, reward-based video should be an opt-in experience. The user should be presented with a clear option to watch a video in return for an incentive or reward. So let's move on over to our window function, which determines the layout for our game over pop-up dialog. We'll add an additional button here. We'll change the text to watch video to make it clear to the user that they'll be watching a video once they press this button. When pressing it, we'll call the reward-based video show function. We'll also wrap this in a conditional statement, so this button is only shown when our ad has indeed loaded. We do this by checking the isLoaded method on our reward-based video object. And there we have it, reward-based video ads integrated into our Unity application. Let's take a look at our finished product. As you can see, I've gotten quite good at this. And there's our pop-up dialog. And you can see our third button, which presents us with the option to watch our video. Once we press it, we get immersive rewarded video ad content. And once the ad's over, we can see our coin count has increased by 20. So there you have it. It took us 10 to 15 lines of code, less than 3 minutes or so, and I'm already monetizing with reward-based video ads. And now, I'm going to hand it back over to Justin, who's going to finish off our presentation for us.
Thanks, Ram. So it was awesome to see how quickly he was able to get rewarded mediation up and running within the Unity platform. So I just wanted to hit the main points. So that's great. As developers, why should you care? Well, because for the user, it's an opt-in experience, users tend to be more engaged with the content. For advertisers, rewarded ads offer a rare opportunity to have their content consumed in full. This translates to higher value for publishers because CPMs tend to be higher. But it's not just the money. So a lot of the partners we've worked with have reported that when they measure rewarded versus non-rewarded cohorts, that there's a strong retention and satisfaction among the rewarded users versus their non-rewarded counterparts. And in fact, some of the publishers we've worked with have reported up to 5x increase in ARPU for rewarded users versus non-rewarded. So I hope this gives you a good overview of these exciting new formats, how simple it is to experiment with them, and we hope you'll consider using them as part of your broader monetization strategy. And that's it. Sure. So I think we have a few minutes if anyone has any questions. Guys, you want to come back up?
If anybody has any questions, you can go to the center of the room where the microphone is.
I'm going to put our resources on the screen here. I know some of you like to take pictures, so you can take a picture of the link and check them out later. Oh, wow.
Hello. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, can I display both banner ad and native ad in the same screen?
On the same screen. I don't know if we actually have a set.
Like I have a recycle view and I put the native ad inside the like an item recycle view. But like when users scroll down, the native ad went down. But at that time, I want to display the banner app at the bottom of the screen.
You mean on separate activities, for example?
No, it's in the same screen.
Okay.
I think as long as you're using different ad units and different slots, technically, you can show the different types of ads. So you can mix and match the types of ads that you show as long as they're in different slots, in different ad units.
But sometimes it will show both the native art and the banner art at the same time. Is this violate any like a rule?
So as long as you're following our policies as far as like how many ads to show on screen, et cetera, at one time, you'll be fine. You can keep a separate native and a separate banner ad in the same activity, but you just have to follow the existing policies for how many ads to show on screen at one time.
I can see you still have a question. Why don't we, I'll talk with you after we're done, and you can tell me exactly what you need to know, and we'll figure it out. No problem. Please.
Is there any recycler adapter available for this ad?
Sure. So is there a recycler adapter, basically implementation of Native Ads Express?
Right.
Sure. I don't have a sample right now. We're sort of, this is the kind of thing we want to know, what you want to see in our future samples. We will probably, over the next month or two, have a sample that shows a list view implementation of Native Ads Express using a recycler view. So I don't have one that I can give you right now, but I will have one that I can, it'll be up on GitHub with the rest of our examples. In the meantime, you can totally do that. There's nothing stopping you.
Okay, so second question, is this a web view inside the native ad?
It sort of acts similarly to a web view, yes.
So we were worried about the performance in the past of using the web views because it does a lot of memory leak in our UI. So I was just wondering, is there a pure native ad is going to come going forward?
Sure.
Like MoPub does right now.
Sure. So do you want to talk about the difference Native
Sure.
Advanced?
So there's another product called Native Advanced, the more advanced version of Native Express. And that is what you're talking about, where it's not a web view, you can control the different assets yourself. That's in a limited beta, but Native Express is available for all publishers.
Is that the double-click program? Is that the double-click program from Google?
No, it's both. DoubleClick has a similar product, and AdMob has it as well, but both are in beta right
Sure.
now.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Thank you.
I have two facet question about memory management. So I think more in terms of native ad advanced. Do you have any plans to do platform-specific texture compression?
Sorry, to do what?
Like platform-specific texture compression. So if you're on iOS, you want PBRTC compressions. If you're on Android, you want the specific like platform compression for rendering on a OpenGL canvas. So do you have any plans to do that on advanced?
Sorry, I'm having trouble.
Yeah.
You're
Sorry.
saying platform-specific compression of native ad assets?
Yes.
Sure. I can talk a little bit about what we're doing in that regard. I don't know that we have anything to use. We are experimenting with different formats. There are a lot of formats for image assets, for example, like WebP and things like that. Those experiments are going on. We also have a whole bunch of stuff going on to try and figure out what size of asset to serve to which device, which goes a long way. I think when we first launched, we were serving very large assets even to very small devices. And so that work is ongoing. I don't know that specifically we would have something where it's a different format per device, but for all I know, the engineers are working on that. Like I said, this is something we've heard before, and we're definitely working on it.
The second question about video ads is that we have some. So I really like the idea of doing picking the best videos for revenues, but there's some app partners that sometimes serve videos that are really large in memories, and that could potentially be killing our apps because we're pushing our memory really close to the limit. So do you have any way to kind of filtering the video ads based on the amount of memory that it takes, or something similar? Yeah.
Are you asking for native specifically or for rewarded?
For video ads specifically. Yeah.
In native ads or just in general?
In general, yes. Yeah.
So what we have is you can filter out video ads entirely. There's no like granular control on filtering like specific types of video ads, but that's great feedback for us to take back to our team and see if it makes sense to think about for the future.
Yeah, so and for our mediation product, we can't, there's nothing in the minute we do with that, but we've heard feedback that some developers want to, because there's a trade-off between how many videos you can cache for the user experience versus how much bandwidth you consume. And so this is feedback we got before, that perhaps you want a checkbox that says actually conserve bandwidth. So that's something we're going to look into. I don't think there's anything at the minute we have, but it's something we definitely want to look at. Thanks.
Hi. So far, getting whitelisted in the native program was like a bit of a ping pong game with your policy team. Now you're showing the native express when you can change colors, layout, well, however you like it. Will there be like an authentication step also on your policy team that will approve or not this?
So that's actually one of the nice benefits of Native Ads Express is that all happens automatically. So Andrew, when he was going through the demo, there was a stage where it said validate CSS. And when you hit that, it automatically does our checks to make sure everything is in line with our policies. And as soon as that validate comes through and it's an immediate sort of review, you're able to go live.
Okay. How long does it take?
The validate it's like happening in code. It's just doing
the
it.
CSS validation, but the step with your policies.
Oh, so there's no step with our actual policy people. It's all happening automatically when you're creating the ad in the AdMob front end.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You are welcome to go try this right now, actually. Anybody in the room can try it. Anybody, any other questions? Okay, cool.
All right.
Thanks for packing the house, guys. Thank you.